How's it going, guys and girls? Hope you guys had a great week. So I'm back today with another video. Today, guys, I actually want to talk about Cyberpunk 2077, and I just kind of want to give my first impressions of the game after playing roughly about 19 hours worth of it. Now, for those of you, this is completely spoiler free. I'm not even going to touch upon the story, and it isn't an in-depth review. That will be coming later on. But as you all know, I'm not rushing through my playthrough of this game. I really want to enjoy every moment with it. Obviously, I'm bringing out a let's play of it as well. We'll be live streaming it as well, I'm sure, on Wednesday and probably this weekend as well. But I do want to talk about the game and my first impressions of it and what I generally think after playing about 19 hours. So for those of you who may be interested, I am playing Cyberpunk 2077 on the PlayStation 5. That's been my experience of the game, and I will talk a little bit about it, what it's like on the PS5, what I generally think of the game so far, how I'm enjoying it. But I do know there have been a lot of issues on the last gen or current gen of consoles, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I've seen it in the news. There have been a lot of issues, a lot of bugs, and I have been talking to Dante about his playthrough because obviously he's been playing it on the PlayStation 4. And even me myself, I've experienced a couple of bugs that I will talk about in this first impressions, but nothing majorly game breaking at the moment. So my experience of Cyberpunk 2077, for me, myself personally, I am really enjoying my playthrough of the game. I'm really enjoying my experience with it. Yes, there are some bugs. I have had a few issues, nothing majorly game breaking, but I've had a couple of crashes that seem to have been happening a little bit more recently. And I have had a few issues with kind of textures taking a bit of time to come in. Not massive, but noticeable now and again. And there are a couple of issues with things like the overlay text and subtitles, which seems to get stuck and frozen on the screen, and I've had to kind of reload my game save file in order to get rid of those. Very minor things really that are more kind of irritating and do sometimes pull you out of the game, but nothing that's really spoiling my overall enjoyment of it. On the PlayStation 5, the game generally, bar those little blips, does run pretty smoothly at 60 frames per second. I think it's a really smooth experience, a lot more so than on the PlayStation 4 from what I hear. Dante has said that he has had issues a little bit with frame rate drops, that particularly for the gunplay, and sometimes it does feel a little bit stuttery in places. But on the PlayStation 5, I've not experienced that myself, and I'm actually really enjoying the gunplay. So let's talk about the things I'm really enjoying at the moment. So first off, the world is incredible. The way in which they have recreated Night City is just jaw-dropping. The city is massive in scale, and not just sort of in terms of the area, but it's also incredibly vertical. And definitely Cyberpunk 2077 is such an ambitious title for CD Projekt Red, and I can see why it might be having some issues on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox, that is really struggling with sort of handling all that information at once. But Night City looks incredible, whatever time of day it is, whether it's during the daytime in sunsets. The lighting is really nice, and even the nighttime, sort of when the city comes to life at night and the neon lights, is really cool. It really does do a very good job of immersing you in this world, and you do really experience that. And it does help that the city is also quite vibrant in the way that it's just full of activities to do. It's full of NPCs moving around the world, so it does feel very vibrant, very kind of lived in. I'm really enjoying the story so far. You guys probably have got that impression from my Let's Play, and you will definitely see that as you check out some more videos to come. But I'm really enjoying the main story campaign, really enjoying the characters. I find the characters very likable, very well fleshed out, and not black and white. And I think CD Projekt Red is always very good with that. Obviously you are a mercenary, there's lots of deals and fixes that you're dealing with and working with, there's a lot of machinations and things and doing deals with certain people, and there's so many different approaches that you can take to many missions. I had that most recently with replaying back through the Maelstrom mission, where you had to get one of the bots, and my playthrough was completely different than the one that we had seen advertised by CD Projekt Red, and this game is going to have massive replay value. So it's just really, really good. The voice acting is fab. You know, Jackie is one of my new favorite characters. I love him. He's so likable. Really, really well written. V, I'm playing a female V at the moment, and I am playing a street kid, and I'm really enjoying the voice acting for V, the dialogue options and choices that you have as well. I'm in my element. You guys know I'm a massive RPG nut, and I am very much in my element and immersing myself in this world and in this character, and I'm already creating a kind of head canon for my V, and I'm really looking forward and seeing where the story goes and what's going to happen, and how the story obviously is going to evolve and is going to conclude, and it's looking really interesting already, and I can't wait to jump in and check out more. So the best elements definitely for this is the story, the writing, the voice acting, the visuals are really beautiful as well, and the design of Night City. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the gameplay mechanics. Now let's start off with the combat, because obviously this is CD Projekt Red's first person shooter. I'm actually really enjoying the gunplay and the combat. I will say that stealth is very, very tricky, particularly when it comes to the first person dynamic. It really reminds me of Deus Ex in that way. It definitely takes some getting used to, but once you do sort of level up your hacking abilities and you level up your stealth abilities in your cool tree, that really does give you a lot more options. And so yeah, it is fun to hack and sabotage things and switch off cameras and sort of weaken enemies and even like poison enemies from a distance and hack into their cybernetics to short circuit their systems. All those things are really, really, really fun. I will say that the stealth doesn't quite feel natural yet. It still feels a little bit clunky. It might feel better as you level up and gain access to more abilities, but it's the minute-to-minute gunplay that I'm really, really enjoying. Particularly, I am at the moment maining with pistols. I am also, I've got my first kind of smart weapon as well, which kind of locks in on enemies, and I'm kind of enjoying that, and swapping now and again to sort of assault rifles and checking out tech weapons. And my new favorite definitely are tech weapons, just because you can actually shoot enemies through walls, and it's just really, really, really awesome. And eventually I am planning to get some mantis blades and check that out and go down sort of the blades route, the tree, and see how that progresses. But there's so much scope for where you want to actually spec your character to, and if you're kind of not a seasoned RPG player, you might feel a little bit intimidated, by the game. Now there are two types of leveling in Cyberpunk. There are attribute points and there are perk points. So attribute points basically spec your character, so you can put points into your character and they will give you certain stats. So for example, if you put into cool, for example, that will basically give you boosts to your crit damage. If you put into tech, for example, or technical attributes, that will give you the ability to do more damage with tech weapons, as well as unlock doors and access routes and different things. So you have to choose where to spend these attribute points, and this is very much lifted from the tabletop game. So those that have played Cyberpunk 2020 will be familiar with this. And then you also have perk points, which basically are points that you can spend to unlock abilities, and those abilities will give you access to certain buffs, certain abilities. abilities. So for example, the reflex attribute, that will basically allow you to spec in things like pistols or blades, whereas the tech ability will give you the ability to sort of specialize in tech weapons and different things there. So it can be a little bit intimidating to start off with, to know where to spec, particularly because when you do spend points in these different attributes, they will also give you more options as you're playing through the game. So in dialogue choices, not only do you get your street kid or nomad or corpo special responses and insights into things, but you'll also get the ability to go down certain dialogue choices depending on how many, if you have enough points in a particular attribute. So I think there was one point where you could talk to Judy, and if you had enough technical points, you could actually engage with her about all the technology to do with brain dance and kind of impress her. So for me, I want all the dialogue options, so it's really, really hard not to want to spec into everything, and obviously you can't do that, but I will say that I am really enjoying the cool responses, because often they're sassy, they're funny, and I'm really enjoying those responses the most. So I'm definitely going to be specking into cool. But there's a lot of RPG elements to really get stuck into on this game, and I feel like at the moment I've only really scratched the surface, and I will obviously be delving in a lot more detail and covering that in more detail in my in-depth review, which will be coming in a couple of weeks' time. We'll also be talking about the gunplay as well. But the sounds for the guns, and the guns do feel pretty satisfying. You definitely do feel a click there. And yeah, I'm really enjoying the gunplay. I'm starting to get to grips with it, and I'm really enjoying it. What I would say is, one of the things I am missing about the game, with it being an RPG, is you customize your character really at the start of the game, and the character customization is really, some would say, too detailed in Cyberpunk 2077. And you create your V and your character, make somebody look really badass, really cool. But then we very rarely get to see our characters so far in the game. Obviously, when we saw the 50-minute gameplay demo, a while ago, we actually got to see V in the elevator with Jackie, and that does not exist in the final version of the game. And it is one criticism I would have for it, one thing that I am really missing. While I'm enjoying the story, don't get me wrong, and the first-person element does definitely create that sense of immersion, and you were able to look at more things and see what's going on. And it still looks great, and the different NPCs and the way their characters are framed in shot, and the lighting and everything, it is really good. But I do miss seeing my V now and again, especially because that's what really connects me to my character. So when I do go into the menu screen and I'm able to sort of have a look at my V and spec her and deck her out in some really cool looking clothes and make her feel like really, cyberpunk kind of. I'm really enjoying that element of it, particularly with the customization and the clothing and the leveling and crafting. I'm really enjoying that element, and it would be so cool to be able to actually, just see that. Maybe just like in Deus Ex, in Deus Ex Mankind Divided, when you were in cutscenes, you got to see Adam Jensen, you got to see your character, and when you went into cover, and you were moving from cover to cover, you got again to see your character, and that's something that I would have liked to have been implemented in Cyberpunk 2077. It doesn't spoil the experience, but I think it would have been something that would have really made it even more special. And who knows, if CD Projekt Red choose to add that as a later patch or a later update, that would be pretty awesome. I wouldn't be saying no to that. I would really enjoy it. But so far, I'm enjoying my playthrough with the game. I've played about 19 hours of it. In terms of if you're on the fence with it, I think it very much depends on what you're going to play it on, as to whether or not you should wait, as to whether or not you should pick it up now. The game is really good. It's a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying my experience with it. And that may well be because I am playing it on the PlayStation 5, and even there I've had a couple of glitches. But I know that on the PlayStation 4, on the Xbox One, it is really in quite a poor state at the moment. Now, that has been improved with a couple of updates. I think we're now currently on update 1.04, and that really has solved a lot of the problems. And Dante's still enjoying his playthrough of it. He's still able to play it, but it's those little visual glitches and little things and frame rate drops that does pull you out of that immersion a little bit. So I think it very much depends on what you're going to choose to play it on. For me personally, I feel like the game was a little bit too, not rushed, but I mean, they've been developing the game for 8 years, but I feel like it wasn't ready to come out now. I feel like it probably needed a little bit more time to bake, or CD Projekt Red really should have focused on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One a little bit more to make the game work well on that, because I can't imagine that they wouldn't have expected a lot of people to play it on that console, especially, you know, with the issues that we've had with the launch of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, and, you know, all the scalpers and a lot of people not being able to get access to the latest console. And not everyone has a really big, powerful PC that they can jump in on. Not everybody is PC gamer. A lot of people are console gamers, and a lot of people were going to pick this up on the PlayStation 4. So I feel like it needed a little bit more time in development. Obviously, you know, CD Projekt Red, they have apologized. They have sort of said, yes, we did drop the ball. Yeah, we did mess up, and we really should have focused more on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. We really should have showcased the game a bit more on that, so you guys could make a more informed decision about, you know, what platform you want to purchase the game on. They should have either done that and spent more time on that, or they should have just made the decision and just said, right, this game is going to be a next-gen title game. It's only going to be available on the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X, and PC. They could have made that call. Obviously, they didn't want to lose the volume of sales that they would have done had they made that decision. There may well have been massive backlash against that decision as well. They're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, really. Doomed if they do, doomed if they don't. So it is really, really difficult. It's a shame that the game, you know, it is heartbreaking to see the game released in the state that it was released in for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. But if you're waiting and you're planning to get, you know, next gen hardware, then I would say wait. I would say, you know, wait until more patches have come out. Wait until you get the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, and then you can experience the game the way that you want to, you know, without all the bugs, or give CD Projekt Red a little bit more time to bring out more patches to improve the performance of it. If you're playing it now and you're having a great time with it, that is fab. Really, really good. Even if, you know, you might be playing it on the PlayStation 4 and you've managed to go halfway through the game without massive issues. I'm sure that does exist for some people, and it's really weird how it affects some people more than other people, and I guess that's just coding and programming. But my experience with Cyberpunk 2077, I am really, really enjoying it. I'm in my element. The game is, apart from the issues of performance, the game is exactly what I wanted. It's what I thought it would be. An incredible world, great story, great characters, really nice, in-depth RPG elements I can get stuck into. I'm really looking forward to building my character and speccing my V and deciding what path I want to go down. And I'm just really enjoying my experience with it. So those are generally my first impressions of the game. Let me know what you guys think of the game in the comment section below. If you're already playing it, please share your experience with Cyberpunk 2077 so far. Of course, let's keep these comments spoiler free, guys, for those that haven't jumped in and checked it out yet. And obviously, yes, I will be coming out with an in-depth, you know, review. I will be writing a full-on script for it, but as I say, I'm not rushing my playthrough of the game. I'm enjoying every part of it. It will be coming, whether it's at the end of the year, the beginning of next year, you will get it, and it will be worth the wait, believe me. It will be a really detailed review once I've tackled everything and covered everything and explored everything that the game has to offer. But yeah, so those are just my first impressions and thoughts on Cyberpunk 2077. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video, found found it useful. If you have any questions, pop those in the comment section below, and I'd be more than happy to answer those if I didn't cover anything that you were interested in this first impressions video, and I'll definitely get back to you to let me know those thoughts on those questions. But yeah, hope you guys are having a great week, of course. Take care, and as always, happy gaming. Bye, guys.